painting you are looking at right now was finished in 1886, and its title is A Sunday on the Island of La Grande Jatte by Georges Seurat. At first glance, we are transported to a perfect world, a sunny island in the Seine just outside Paris, where sailboats glide across still water, a trumpet plays somewhere in the distance, and parasols drift over perfectly manicured grass. Couples rest, a baby is doted on, dogs wander, and everyone seems to be enjoying their Sunday off. It feels calm, idyllic, almost too perfect. But the longer you look at this scene, the more something begins to feel wrong. Because hidden inside this peaceful afternoon are courtesans, coded symbols of vice, and a crowd of people who have been deliberately stripped of their humanity. This is not the innocent painting you think it is. So let's look a little closer. Let's begin with the people. Our eyes are immediately drawn to the woman on the right, holding a parasol and wearing an iconic bustled dress. She stands beside a dapper gentleman, a lit cigar resting in his hand, and the two of them look impossibly elegant. In fact, almost everyone here looks elegant, dressed in their finest for a day by the river. Almost everyone, that is, except for this man, reclining in the foreground. Based on his relaxed posture and simpler clothing, viewers at the time would have instantly recognized him as a member of the working class, quietly out of place among all this refinement. But the more you study the scene, the stranger it becomes. Notice how everyone is gathered together, yet no one actually interacts. Nobody speaks, nobody touches, nobody even seems to look at one another. The figures stand stiff and motionless, almost like dolls frozen in time. There is something oddly comforting about that stillness, and at the same time, something quietly unsettling about it. And then, once you start noticing the small details, you cannot stop. A dog sniffs the ground. Another dog does the same. A musician plays his trumpet, to no one in particular. And then your eye lands on something that simply should not be there. To the right of the canvas, a woman is calmly walking a monkey on a leash. Yes, a monkey. And believe me, that monkey is the thread that unravels everything. So let's pull on it. To understand the monkey, we first have to understand the island itself. La Grande Jatte was indeed a place where Parisians came to escape the city and relax on a Sunday. But it had another, far less innocent reputation. This was also a spot where wealthy men came to procure courtesans, in other words, prostitutes. And once you know that, this elegant scene begins to transform before your eyes. Take that fashionable couple we admired a moment ago. It is now widely believed that the woman is not a respectable lady at all, but an escort, and the dapper gentleman beside her is her client. And the proof, strangely enough, lies in that monkey. In the 19th century, the monkey was a common symbol of lust and desire. But Seurat takes it even further, because in French, the word for a female monkey doubled as period slang for a prostitute. Seurat, it seems, had a real fondness for visual puns. And once you spot one, the others start to appear. Look at the dog beside the monkey. Unlike the other animals, this one is caught in motion, and it does not look pleased. Dogs were traditionally symbols of fidelity, so this restless, unhappy creature may be hinting that the gentleman is anything but faithful. Then look to the left of the painting, where a woman stands quietly fishing by the water. Harmless enough, until you learn that in the 1880s, a woman fishing was understood as another symbol of a prostitute, casting her line for prospective clients. And the puns continue, because the French word for fishing sounds almost identical to the word for sinning. So beneath this calm, sunlit Sunday, Seurat has quietly painted an entire economy of vice. But what he does to the people themselves is even more disturbing. To understand why these figures feel so cold, we have to understand the man who painted them. Georges Seurat was eccentric, solitary, and secretive. But above all, he was meticulous. He was not interested in romance or poetry. He once dismissed the idea entirely, insisting that he was not painting feeling at all. He was simply applying a system. And what a system it was. Seurat had been reading the latest scientific writings on optics and color by the French scientist Michel Chevreul. From this research, he became fascinated by a single idea, that tiny dots of pure color, placed closely together, would blend in the viewer's eye to produce something more vibrant than mixing those colors on a palette ever could. He called this method divisionism, though today we know it as pointillism. The theory has since been debunked, but that hardly mattered to Seurat. He built his entire signature style upon it. Yet the coldness runs deeper than technique. Seurat adored the art of the past, the marble figures of Greek and Roman sculpture, the solemn processions of Renaissance friezes. He wanted his modern Parisians to move like those ancient stone figures, rigid, eternal, and impersonal. And nowhere is this clearer than with the woman seen from behind, recognizable at the time as a wet nurse. Seurat left behind preparatory sketches of her, and the transformation is chilling. Sketch by sketch, we watch him chip away at her features, erasing her humanity until she becomes nothing more than a cluster of geometric shapes. Critics noticed it too. One described his figures as lead soldiers marching across the canvas. Others saw something colder still, a vision of modern people reduced to mass-produced copies, identical and interchangeable. And that unsettling idea only sharpens when we cross to the other side of the river. Just 2 years before this painting, Seurat had created what feels like its mirror image, a work titled Bathers at Asnières. It shows a very different crowd. Here, on the opposite bank of the same Seine, working-class men sit and bathe by the water, their relaxed postures and simple clothing marking them clearly as members of the laboring class. And when you place the two paintings side by side, something quietly devastating emerges. It is the same river, the same sky, the same idle boats drifting past. But the worlds could not be more different. Behind the bathers loom railway bridges, gas tanks, and the smoking chimneys of factories, the very places where these men likely went to work. Meanwhile, over on La Grande Jatte, the bourgeoisie enjoy a sky decorated with a single, soft, cotton ball cloud. Here is the detail that gives it away. That same industrial skyline would have been clearly visible from La Grande Jatte too, and yet Seurat deliberately erases it. Perhaps he is telling us that the wealthy can simply buy their escape from the industrial world, a luxury the workers across the river will never afford. People at the time felt the discomfort. When Seurat submitted his work to the Paris Salon in 1884, it was rejected outright. in part because of how it portrayed the working class. One reviewer dismissed it as bad from every possible point of view. And there is one final irony. This meticulous man, who controlled every dot on his canvas, lived a life he could not control at all. He hid a relationship with a lower-class model, kept their child a secret, and then died suddenly at just 31. The master of order, undone by chaos. Now, before we go, look one last time at the center of the painting. There, a little girl dressed in white walks calmly beside her mother. And unlike everyone else, she is staring directly out at us. It feels as though she is quietly questioning us, or perhaps the entire world around her, a world of stiff manners and rigid norms, where vice and inequality move quietly in the shadows. Behind her, a single girl in an orange dress runs freely, the only figure truly in motion, completely unfazed by the frozen world she lives in. And that is the strange power of this painting. What looks like a perfect Sunday afternoon is really a society performing calm over a foundation of vice, dehumanization, and division. That is why, more than a century later, it still unsettles us. Had you noticed any of these details before? Let me know below, and I'll see you in the next one.